যে তো সেদিন শুনছিলাম যে একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ সাবজেক্ট কম্পালসারি রাখতে হবে সাইডে।
সব বুঝিয়ে
আমি
দেবো,
যখন
সব
বাংলাটা
কুলুপ কুলুপ
রেখেছি।
কুলুপ সব বুঝিয়ে দেবো। তো তুমি চিন্তা করো না, সব বুঝিয়ে দেবো। ওকে।
স্যার দেন কেমিস্ট্রিটা তো রেজিস্টার করে নিতে
ওটা
পারি?
পরে, ওসব পরে হবে, এখন ওগুলো আগে তোমাদের ক্লাস চালু হোক তারপরে। ওসব জিনিস পরে হবে, ঠিক আছে? এখন এখন আগে ফার্স্ট তোমাদের ক্লাসটা কলেজে শুরু হোক। ওকে, ইন টুডেজ ক্লাস I will start with a part, your core course 2 part, that is ecosystem. So these are some of the chapters which you had done in your 11 and 12. So I will essentially start with these chapters first, because these chapters will help you to revise your subject back, and then you can get ahead further. So before we start, there is a small video which I would like you people to see. It is from YouTube, and if this video, just it will revise you a basic on this.
Hi, I'm Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we're going to
Hey,
investigate
nah.
Earth's ecosystems. An ecosystem is a community of living things interacting with the non-living parts of their environment. There are two primary parts of an ecosystem. The biotic part is made of all the living things, like plants and animals, fungi, and bacteria and viruses. The abiotic part is made up of non-living things, like rocks and minerals, water, and energy. Ecosystems can be almost any size. While most of us think of communities like a coral reef or a forest, an ecosystem can be a small pond or even the area beneath a large rock. Ecosystems need energy. In most cases, this energy comes from sunlight. Producers, like plants, take light energy and convert it into usable sugar energy through photosynthesis. As animals consume the energy from plants, they are eaten by other animals and ultimately decompose back into the soil. The energy moves through the ecosystem via a food web. Two of the most important concepts in the study of ecosystems are niche and habitat. A habitat is a place where an organism lives. Organisms must get nutrition, shelter, water, and the other things they need to survive from their habitat. Niche is an organism's special role in the ecosystem. What and how something eats, how it behaves, where it lives, all of these things define an organism's niche. Two organisms cannot occupy the same niche for very long. Eventually, one will outcompete the other for food and other resources, forcing the other to move or to go extinct. Many of the Earth's ecosystems are threatened due to climate change, pollution, and the human destruction of habitats. Scientists called ecologists study and monitor the health of ecosystems and continually work to discover new ways to protect these precious organisms and environments.
So this is a small video on it, and with this we will go to our main thing. Okay.
Monster Math presents Addition Below 10.
Ah.
Okay, class, let's begin. What is
Okay, so I will get back to my what I want to teach today. That is, I will send this note today itself. This is concept of ecosystem. Is my slide visible? Are you able to see this?
No, sir.
Huh? You're not able to see it?
No, sir.
Okay, let me try once more. So I present now, present your entire screen. Are you able to see this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So were you able to see the video?
No, sir.
Okay, then I go. You were not able. Then possibly you can see it in the recording because it got recorded. You will see it. So the thing was, we are going to talk about ecosystem. So what, according to the in that video, it was an ecosystem consists of two things: biotic factors. You have biotic and you have abiotic.
Sir, do you share your screen?
I'm
I can
sharing.
see your screen, sir.
It's biotic and abiotic. I'm sharing my screen. Anybody else not able to see my screen?
I can't see your screen, sir.
This I know, but anybody else? Anybody else are able to see my not able to see my screen? Please tell me you are able to see. Nisab,
Yes, sir.
you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, I'm able
Oh.
to see.
Okay. Then I think Pritadeep, the problem should be with your network. I think. Otherwise, because it's sharing, and there is really nothing I can do about this. You can watch the video, which I will send later. Okay. So it's made up of biotic factors as well as abiotic factors. Biotic factors include.
Yes, sir. Now I can see your screen, sir.
Yes, it was your network.
Okay, sir.
It was biotic are the
Okay, sir.
living components. Biotic factors are the living components, and abiotic factors are the non-living components. The non-living components. Now, this term ecosystem was proposed by A.G. Tansley in 1935. This is an important short question which comes. Other names of ecosystem are biocenosis, microcosm, geobiocenosis, holocene, biosystem, bioinert body, ecocosm. All these are basically what you call an ecosystem. So essentially the ecosystem is your surroundings. Your surroundings. System means your surroundings. System is a surroundings. Surroundings. System means surrounding. So your ecosystem means surrounding. What do you have in the surrounding? You have your abiotic components like temperature, sunlight, wind, minerals. These are your abiotic components, and the biotic components, that is your plants, animals, and bacteria, fungi. These are all your biotic components. So ecosystem also studies the relationship between the abiotic and biotic components, and this term is known as holocenosis. So what are the abiotic components? The abiotic components are the non-living or physico-chemical factors like air, soil, water, and the basic compounds and elements of the environment. Abiotic factors are broadly classified under three categories. We have three types. One is climate, that includes climatic factors such as light, atmosphere, temperature, wind, humidity. This is your climatic factors. Then you have edaphic factors, and like the composition and structure of the soil, the chemical and physical properties of the soil. These are known as the edaphic factors. Then soil profile, soil type, etc. All these things. Then you have inorganic substances like water, carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, and you have organic substances like protein, lipids, and humic substances, etc.
सर इडेफिक मतलब
Edaphic
सर
matlab
इडेफिक मतलब
edaphic factors which relate to the composition and structure of the soil. सॉइल के बारे में, वेदर सॉइल का कॉम्पोजिशन क्या है, सॉइल लाल है या नील है, सॉइल में कौन सा मिनरल्स ज़्यादा है, सॉइल का कौन सा ऑर्गेनिक मैटर्स मिलता है सॉइल में, एंड व्हाट आर द थिंग्स फाउंड. सो यू हैव वन पार्ट इज द क्लाइमेट, one part is the climate, that is your sun, then your wind, temperature, atmosphere. The other is edaphic factors, like edaphic factors are soil composition. मिट्टी में क्या रहता है, मिट्टी का कहीं कहीं if you go to Bankura, if you go to Purulia, you will find that the soil is red because they have got high, it's a laterite type of soil, high iron content there. And if you go to areas like Digha and all, you'll find that the soil is a bit darker. In Asansol area, you will find it's more or less it's not red. So so you can see that the abiotic components in Purulia and the abiotic component in Asansol, it is different. So edaphic factors are those factors that chemical and physical properties of the soil, or what are the materials present. If you go to if you look at the soil near and around Calcutta, you will find that the soil is very rich and fertile for agriculture. But if you see the soil in Asansol, it is not at all rich and fertile for agriculture. So Asansol basically developed as a industrial belt, whereas Hooghly and Howrah, these areas, they developed as agricultural belt. Although in Howrah there are lots of industries present, but it's essentially it is a fertile area, fertile land. And you have inorganic substances like water, carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, phosphorus, all minerals, and proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, humic substances, etc. as the third component. So let us look at the biotic components. It is the living parts of the environment, and it includes the association of a lot of interrelated populations that belong to different species inhabiting a common environment. Now look at a grassland ecosystem. A grassland ecosystem जहाँ पे शेर रहता है, যেখানে সিংহরা থাকে, সিংহ বাঘ থাকে, it's a grassland. বাঘ না, more or less it's lion in a grassland ecosystem. You have on the top, absolutely on the top predator, a carnivore, which is this tiger. This tiger eats the second consumer, that is the herbivores. These herbivores, they eat grass, which are the autotrophs. And these autotrophs, they take nutrition from the soil. When they die, they decompose in the soil and they produce inorganic materials, and they are absorbed by the producers. The producer is again eaten by the herbivores, and the herbivores producer, because they produce sugars and starch, food, through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, they produce sugars through the process of photosynthesis, and they are consumed by the cattle or deer, and they are consumed by the carnivore. So you have a population of plants, so many plants of the same species in one area, that is a population. Many primary consumers of the same species in one area, that's a population. Many population of tigers is carnivores in a particular area of the same species. So the population, basically what are the population? You can find a population of animal community, plant community, and most important, the microbial community under the soil, decomposers. And of course, other microbes, bacteria and viruses, which may not be decomposers also. So, the biotic community is therefore divided into three parts. First are the autotrophs, the plants which produce the food from photosynthesis, the saprotrophs which decay dead and decomposing materials. These saprotrophs, they when they die, they convert them back into the elements. Zameen ke niche, cover mein, you get back into the elements, and that element is taken by the producers again. So this is the circle of life. Autotrophs, they are called the producers, transducers or converters as well. So they are the photosynthetic plants, chlorophyll bearing photosynthetic plants. They synthesize a high energy complex organic compound, that is sugars, in the process called photosynthesis. They form the core of all biotic systems. So a lot of autotrophs are produced, lot of grass plants are there. That is the basic. If autotrophs are not there, we will all die. In terrestrial ecosystems, the autotrophs are usually rooted plants, the plants which have root. In aquatic ecosystem, the floating plants referred to as phytoplankton, they are and the shallow water rooted plants known as macrophytes, they are the main producers. So then you have the heterotrophs. They are the consumers. They are normally animals that feed on other organisms. Consumers, they are also referred to as phagotrophs, while macro consumers are normally herbivores and carnivores. Herbivores are called first order or primary consumers. Herbivores like deer, cattle, grasshopper, among the insects, they are the primary consumer because they feed directly on green plants. In the terrestrial consumer, the cattle, deer, grasshopper, rabbit, etc., they directly feed on the grass and other vegetables. Aquatic ecosystem consumers are the protozoans, the crustaceans like chingri mach, shrimps, prawn, they are the crustaceans, crabs, crustaceans. Carnivores are animals that prey or feed on other animals. Second order consumers or primary carnivores, they are those animals that feed on herbivorous animals like fox, frog, small fishes, predatory birds, snakes, tigers, etc. Then you have the third order consumers or secondary carnivores. They feed on other carnivores. For example, wolf, owl, peacock, they are all secondary. They feed on other carnivores. So when a lion and tiger die, they are.
But sir, predatory.
হ্যাঁ বলো
স্যার প্রেডিটারি বার্ডস যেটা বলছেন তারা তো মানে মানে সর্বোচ্চ খাদক যে স্তরে থাকে সেই স্তরে তো মানে বাজ পাখি ঈগল যেগুলো বা তারা তো সর্বোচ্চ স্তরে থাকে মানে বাঘের কাছাকাছি তারা কি সেকেন্ডারি কনজিউমার
they are both secondary, they can be primary also. ঠিক আছে, they can be both primary consumer, they can be secondary consumer at all, but they are called secondary consumers because they eat even if there is a little fox there, a little dog or a little cat, they will catch them also. So they eat them, so they are called second order consumers. Second order consumer can also take first order the consumers as their food. They can but they will never take your autotrophs as food. Okay, you will never hear of an eagle eating grass. You can have an eagle eating they will catch a rabbit, they will also catch a dog, they will catch they can even catch a little tiger cubs or little cubs of little kittens of cats, but they are second order consumers because they eat carnivores. But for example, a lion or a tiger or a fox, they will never catch smaller foxes or smaller other predators. They will search for herbivores only. This is the difference. In fishes, it is very clear. You have rohu fish. Rohu will only take herbivores and autotrophs. But if you have somebody like Parshe or Boal, they are all carnivores. They will never take your grass or phytoplanktons. They will only take other small fishes. So the line is quite clear that the secondary carnivores, they will take the primary carnivores, and they can even take the herbivores also, but they are secondary carnivores. But the primary carnivores will only attack the herbivores. Okay, then you have the third or secondary carnivores, which I mentioned right now, and the saprotrophs. So if an animal dies, it will start to rot, and there's a terrible breakdown of organic compounds in dead matters. They secrete a digestive enzymes, and they will start to rot, and they will start to smell. And if you are burying them, it will happen under the ground, and your elements are released. The inorganic compounds are released, mineralization takes place, and they are released back into the soil for your plants to take up. So this is how it goes. The trophic level of an organism is the position it occupies in a food chain. So what is a food chain? A food chain represents a succession of organisms that eat other organisms. So at the below of the food chain, you have producers, you have the primary consumers, you have the secondary consumers, and on the top of the food chain you have the tertiary consumer. And such a pyramid like structure, it is known as the pyramid of numbers. We are talking about numbers here. So let us look at a food chain. This is a food chain. This is eaten by the herbivores are eaten by the carnivores. This is a food chain. And trophic level is, the producer is a trophic level, the herbivore is a trophic level, and the carnivore is a trophic level. You have a primary producer, plants. From there it goes to the next trophic level, that is the herbivores. From the herbivore it goes to the predators at level 3. We human beings, being omnivorous, we are all also we eat we are both we consume primary producers as well as we consume consumers. We are non-vegetarian and vegetarian as well. So we fall at two categories. We are both carnivores and herbivores at the same time. We are both carnivores and herbivores at the same time. So now we go to the next topic, which is ecological pyramid. So actually what we do here is we organize animals on the basis of their numbers. And you have, for example, 100,000 blades of grass. So they are always high in number. 100,000 blades of grass are consumed by 30 rabbits. So these 30 rabbits are consumed by one fox. So you have a large number of small organisms like your grass, then or the autotrophs. Then you have the primary consumers or the rabbits, which are a bit less, and then you have the fox, which is on the top. So such a pyramid or this structure is known as pyramid of numbers, and a pyramid of numbers can be used to show the number of organism at each stage of the food chain. So you will you can in a particular area you can count the number of grass is much higher. You have a lesser number of grasshoppers, and in that area you have even those who eat the grasshopper, the birds. You will have even lesser number of birds. One bird, you have 30 grasshoppers, and you have 300,000 blades of grass. So this is a pyramid of number. Another type of pyramid which comes is the pyramid of biomass. The weight of grass is so many kilograms. This is much greater than the weight of rabbit. This is so much, which is much higher than higher than the number of weight of the fox, and where the fox are eaten by the wolves, which is much less than that. So it's also, this is known the pyramid of biomass. So the grasses have got higher weight, the rabbits have got lesser weight, the fox have got even lesser weight, and the wolf has got the least amount of weight. So biomass is the kilogram of biological material present. मटन का किलो वेट, 5 किलो घास, 1 किलो रैबिट, 150 ग्राम फॉक्स, 100 ग्राम वुल्फ, something like that. You are measuring the weight, total weight. At that time you were measuring the numbers. 20,000 blades of grass, not 20,000 kilos of grass, 20,000 blades of grass. That was pyramid of numbers. Here this is the pyramid of biomass, the total weight. Next comes the pyramid of energy. This shows the rate of energy flow or productive levels at successive trophic levels. Primary producers, the grass, maximum is 100,000 joules of sunlight. They have that is captured by primary producers. 10,000 joules of energy captured by primary energy producers. The primary consumer, out of that they capture only 1,000 joules. So there is a loss, only 10% is transferred. Again, secondary consumers, it becomes 100 joules. Another 10, it goes back down 10%. And the eagle, another 10% is gone. That is 10 joules. So such a pyramid, this triangular pyramid, it is known as pyramid of energy. So these are the ecological pyramids. Producers are also called converters or transducers. That is, they convert or transduce the radiant energy, that is the energy from the sun. They convert the radiant energy from the sun with the help of minerals into chemical energy. What are the chemical energy? That is carbohydrate, proteins, fats, nucleic acid. These are the chemical energy, the macromolecules which make up your bodies. There are two ecological processes. One is energy flow. That is, energy from sun goes to the the producers. Producers, it goes to the herbivores. Herbivores to the carnivores. Carnivores die and it goes back to the soil. From the soil again it goes to the producer. So this is this is known as the energy flow. It is energy flow.
Hello sir. বলছিলাম যেটা আপনি বললেন না যে 10% যে যত পরিমাণ এনার্জি কনজিউম হচ্ছে তার মাত্র 10% পরবর্তী স্তরে যাচ্ছে, সো ওটাই কি লিন্ডেম্যানস 10% ল?
It is Lindeman's 10% law, but it is not exactly 10% which goes. That is Lindeman's 10% law. And then you have the mineral cycling. That is, you have an water cycle, you have an oxygen cycle, you have a sulfur cycle, you have a phosphorus cycle. You have read all these cycles in your 11 and 12. That is mineral cycling. That is the water which is present in the lakes, they evaporate, they make clouds, then again rain, it falls into the rivers, all these things. This is basically this is a water cycle. Like this, you have even a phosphorus cycle. from the soil, it goes into organism from, suppose there is phosphorus in a plant, the plant has taken the phosphorus from the soil. When we eat the plant, the phosphorus comes to our body, it is utilized in making ATP. Then we are eaten by another, maybe a predator, and that phosphorus from us goes to that predator dies, and it releases it back to the soil. And in between, the energy is taken from the sun. Another aspect which we will study, that is productivity of an ecosystem. The first is the primary productivity. So what is primary producer? It is associated with the producers which are autotrophic. They are photosynthetic. Some of them are chemosynthetic, utilize chemicals to synthesize energy. These are the green plants mostly. So primary productivity is defined as the rate at which radiant energy is stored by photosynthetic and chemosynthetic activity of producers. Radiant energy is the energy from the sunlight. So primary productivity is a rate. Rate always means amount of thing formed per unit time. Something. So it is the rate at which radiant energy from the sun is stored by, in 1 hour, how much energy is stored. You have gross primary productivity as one type of primary productivity. What is gross productivity? Primary productivity, it is the total rate of photosynthesis, including the organic matter used up in respiration during the measurement period. Suppose in a field, in 1 hour, 100 kilojoules of energy is produced. Some of that energy is used by the grass in that field for their own respiration and other activities. So there is a loss. But in the gross productivity, you don't measure the loss. You just measure the total amount of energy which is produced, or biomass which is produced in a particular time, in a particular field. Out of that, some of them are eaten up by the by herbivores. Some of them the plant utilizes for its own activities. That is loss. That you don't have. That is not included in the gross. In the gross, you measure the whole thing. Then you have the net primary productivity. This is it is the rate of storage of organic matter in plant tissues in excess of respiratory utilization by plants. So gross primary productivity minus your energy utilized by the plant for its own respiration. That is the net. Then you have the secondary productivity. This refers to the consumers or heterotrophs. These are the rates of energy storage at consumer level. Since consumer only utilize food material already produced, their respiration simply converting the food matter into different tissues. So basically, how much of the field produces so much amount of energy by primary productivity. Secondary productivity is the amount of energy which is taken from the field. So if there is 1000 kg of grass on the field produced by the and only the herbivores may take say 1000 kgs. So 1000 kg is the secondary productivity. So amount of material, food material taken from the field by the secondary consumers. So amount of food material present in the consumer or the heterotroph, that is the secondary productivity. So if you give 1000 kilo of grass, you will get only 100 kilos of meat from the consumer. So this is the secondary productivity, is 100 kilogram of meat. Then you have the net productivity. Here you have the whole primary productivity minus that used for respiration minus that used by herbivores during grazing. When they eat all this during minus the grazing food. So it refers to the rate of storage of organic matter not to be used by heterotrophs equivalent to primary net production minus consumption by heterotrophs during that unit period. So total amount of energy which is produced by the field minus the amount of energy which has been taken by the herbivores minus the total amount of energy which has taken by the plants itself. So that is the net which is left behind. That is the net productivity. Food chain can be two types. The first is the grazing food chain and the second is the detritus food chain. Grazing food chain is very easy. Phytoplankton eaten by zooplankton, eaten by fish, fish eaten by man. Or grass, rabbit, fox, they are example of grazing food chain. And the detritus food chain, it goes from dead organic matter into microorganisms and then into organisms feeding on detritus or detritivores and their predators. Such ecosystems are less dependent on direct solar energy. It works under the soil. So, example is a good example of a detritus food is based on mangrove leaves. In southern Florida in USA, leaves of the red mangrove Rhizophore mangle fall in warm shallow water. 5% of the leaf material is removed by grazing insects before leaf fall. पत्ता गिरने के पहले ही खा लेता है 5% grazing insect. The fallen leaf fragments acted upon by saprotrophs like fungi, bacteria, protozoa etc. colonized by phytoplanktonic and benthic algae are eaten and re-eaten. That is, after they are eaten, they are excreted, then they are again eaten. That is known as coprophagy by a key group of animals like crabs, copepods, insect larvae, grass shrimps, myrids, nematodes, amphipods, bivalves, etc. And they are known as detritus consumers or detritivores. Detritivores are eaten by small carnivores like small fish. The small carnivores serve as main food for larger fish and fish-eating birds, which form the top carnivores. So detritus consumers, they are eaten by small carnivore and eaten by large carnivore. Now, this picture, it's a huge so mangrove leaves, they fall, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, they are eaten by these copepods. Copepods are eaten by the crabs, they are eaten by bivalves, mollusks. Then they are eaten by small fish are eaten by big fish. Again, they die, the detritus, small carnivores, large carnivores. So such an organization is known as a food web. So very simply, what is a food web? This is a food web. It is a chain was a single thing. Chain क्या होता है? This is one chain. And what is a web? मकड़ी का जाल, माकड़सात जाल. All are interlinked with one. One is interlinked with this. Then again another line goes. This. All are linked with each other. They are all linked with each other, so they form a web. So grass is eaten by this is the grass eaten by grasshopper, eaten by lizard is eaten by hawk. Again, grass eaten by rabbit is eaten by hawk. Then grass eaten by mice eaten by directly by hawk, or mice eaten by snake is eaten by hawk. So such an interrelationship, it is a food web. So I would end my class here today In the next day, I will go about energy flow in an ecosystem. We will be talking about energy flow in an ecosystem. The energy flow in an ecosystem is a very important topic from where a lot of questions come. And anybody has any questions regarding what I have taught today? Question আছে কারুর?
স্যার বলছিলাম যে যেটা যারা প্রোডিউসার অর্থাৎ ঘাস বা কোনো গাছের পাতা সেগুলো যেমন প্রোডিউসার সেগুলো যেমন ফার্স্ট অর্ডার প্রথম শ্রেণী খাদক তার থেকে দ্বিতীয় শ্রেণী খাদক থেকে সর্বোচ্চ খাদককে খাদ্য শৃঙ্খলটা পৌঁছচ্ছে। এবার যারা প্রোডিউসার তারা তারা তো ডাইরেক্ট কার্নিভোরস মানে যারা বিয়োজক শ্রেণী যারা ব্যাকটেরিয়া বা মাটিতে যারা বিয়োজন ঘটায় তারা তো মানে ডাইরেক্ট পৌঁছতে পারে প্রোডিউসারটা, বা তারা যদি যারা যে খেয়ে নেবে তার তো কোনো মানে নেই। কোনো গাছপালা যদি পচেও যায় সেক্ষেত্রে তো তারা ডাইরেক্ট ওই ব্যাকটেরিয়ার দ্বারা স্মল কম্পাউন্ডস পরিণত হতে পারে।
হ্যাঁ, yes, of course. So the question was that if you have a plant, that plant is eaten by a cattle. The cattle is then eaten by, say for example, a predator like a wolf. And now we say that the wolf dies and the material of the wolf is decomposed under the soil by the saprotrophs, and minerals are released back in the soil, and this minerals are again taken by producers. It can also be that that plant is not eaten, the plant dies and then it decomposes and it is taken up by the decomposers. That can be happen. So all relationships are not this is a chain, but along with a chain there is a web also. So everything is linked with everything. So your plant is linked with the decomposers. Either it can go through the whole cycle eaten by primary carnivore, the primary producer, or the herbivore. That herbivore is eaten by the carnivore. Carnivore dies and that thing can go back to the soil. Either it can go the long way or it can directly die and degrade. That can also happen. So it is all linked. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then again next class on Wednesday. I'll try to do Wednesday class at around 12:30, because from 11 to 12 I have got a class in the college. But if there is a change, I will let you people know.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
ending my
sir.
class here. Okay, stay safe and be happy.